Have you ever heard about the freak shows? If so, then you probably know about some performers. But what if I say that some of them not only performed, but also shocked the entire world with their unbelievable abilities, or with something else that was hidden from the public? If you're interested, then watch the full video, because this one is going to be a hidden treasure for you. So, without any further discussion, let's meet them and see how they shocked the whole world. Number 15. Madame Cloffia. In the mid-1800s, Josephine Cloffia of Switzerland became one of Europe's most talked-about performers. Born on March 25, 1829 in Versoix, she began growing a full beard by the age of 8. Her father, a craftsman, encouraged her to embrace her difference, and by adolescence, she was performing publicly across Europe. Audiences were captivated not by deformity, but by her elegance, always dressed in silks, jewelry, and grace that rivaled nobility. When she joined P.T. Barnum's American Museum, she was advertised as the Bearded Lady of Geneva, attracting massive crowds. Even Queen Victoria requested to see her in person during a London appearance. Though mocked by some, Madame Cloffia carried herself with dignity, transforming what others saw as a spectacle into a statement of self-acceptance. Her 6-inch beard became a trademark, but it was her poise that truly stunned audiences. She passed away in 1870, leaving behind one of the earliest examples of dignity within sideshow history. Number 14. Eli Bowen. Eli Bowen's life was proof that strength isn't defined by size. Born on October 14, 1844, in Richland County, Ohio, without legs due to phocomelia, he grew up performing acrobatic stunts that most people with limbs couldn't dream of doing. By his teenage years, he had joined traveling circuses, stunning crowds by leaping, balancing, and flipping across the stage using only his arms. Nicknamed the Legless Acrobat, he became a respected figure in every major sideshow circuit of his era. Unlike many performers who faced ridicule, Bowen was admired for his charm and athletic ability. He married, raised a family, and lived a steady life outside the tent. Even as age weakened him, his performances never lost their grace. He passed away on May 4, 1924, in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, remembered not as an oddity, but as a man whose sheer willpower and talent captivated audiences for more than 4 decades. Number 13. Tom Thumb. Charles Sherwood Stratton, born on January 4, 1838 in Bridgeport, Connecticut, stood barely 25 inches tall, yet his fame reached heights few could imagine. Discovered by P.T. Barnum at just 5 years old, he was trained to sing, dance, and perform comedic routines under the stage name General Tom Thumb. By 6, he was performing for packed theaters across America. By 7, he was entertaining Queen Victoria at Buckingham Palace. His small stature became his ticket to global celebrity, rather than a limitation. Dressed in tailored suits and often riding miniature carriages, Tom Thumb embodied sophistication and wit. His marriage to fellow performer Lavinia Warren in 1863 was considered the wedding of the century, drawing thousands to the streets of New York. Far beyond a novelty act, Stratton's humor and professionalism helped legitimize sideshow performance as true entertainment. When he died on July 15, 1883, the world mourned a man who had proved charisma could outshine any difference. Number 12. Jean Libera. Jean Libera's story fascinated doctors and audiences alike. Born in 1884 in Rome, Italy, he entered the world with a parasitic twin attached to his abdomen, a partially formed second body named Jacques. Rather than hide, Libera chose to exhibit himself in medical theaters and sideshows, where scientists studied the anomaly in awe. During the early 1900s, he toured across Europe under banners that read, "The Man with Two Bodies," attracting both fascination and disbelief. Audiences saw two sets of arms and a torso emerging from his side, an image that seemed impossible without trickery. Yet every examination confirmed it was real. Beyond the shock, John carried himself with calm dignity, often speaking publicly about acceptance and difference. His exhibit blurred the line between science and spectacle, turning fear into curiosity. Libera passed away in 1936, but his name still appears in medical archives as one of the most remarkable physical anomalies ever documented. Number 11. Grady Styles Jr. Grady Styles Jr. wasn't just another performer. He was a sideshow legend with a dark edge. Born on June 26, 1937 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, he came from a long line of ectrodactyly, a genetic condition that fused his fingers and toes into claw-like shapes. As part of the lobster family, his deformity brought fame, but behind the curtain, life was chaotic. Years of physical strength in his upper body gave him a dangerous temper, and alcohol made it worse. Even after retiring, his violent behavior turned the family act into a real tragedy. In 1992, after years of domestic abuse, his wife and stepson arranged his murder. He was shot and killed in his home in Gibsonton, Florida. When police tried to carry his body, his hardened, clawed hands made it nearly impossible to place him in a coffin. Grady's life blurred the line between performer and villain, leaving a story that fascinated and disturbed even seasoned sideshow audiences. Number 10. Millie and Christine McCoy. Twin voices, one body, that's what made Millie and Christine McCoy unforgettable. Born into slavery on July 11, 1851 in Whiteville, North Carolina, the sisters were pygopagus conjoined twins, joined at the lower spine and sharing several organs. Their early years were marked by exploitation. They were sold to different showmen until eventually performing under the care of Joseph Smith, who promoted them worldwide. Fluent in 5 languages and trained in music, the sisters could sing duets in perfect harmony, their voices blending like 2 instruments. They toured across America and Europe, performing for royalty and the curious public alike. While audiences came to stare, many left amazed by their intelligence and composure. By adulthood, they had earned financial independence and lived comfortably together on their North Carolina farm. When cholera struck in 1912, Millie died first, and Christine followed just 17 hours later, an ending as inseparable as the lives they had shared. Number 9. George Lippard. When German-born George Lippard stepped on stage, people didn't know whether to be amazed or afraid. Born in Bavaria around 1844, he entered the world with 3 fully formed legs, a medical rarity that quickly turned him into a sensation. For nearly 20 years, he toured through Europe and later America, promoted as the 3-legged, 2-hearted man. Posters claimed he possessed 2 functioning hearts, a detail that surgeons later found to be only half true. Still, his act drew enormous crowds. Lippard's 3rd leg, attached to his right hip, could move independently, which both fascinated and unsettled audiences. Unlike many sideshow performers, he didn't rely on grotesque marketing. His calm, almost academic manner made his exhibitions even stranger. By the early 1900s, his health had declined, and he died of tuberculosis in Dayton, Ohio in 1906. Lippard's case remains one of the most discussed examples of polymelia ever recorded in the 19th century medical history. Number 8. Isaac W. Sprague. Audiences could hardly believe that a man could be alive at such a weight. Isaac W. Sprague, born in East Bridgewater, Massachusetts in 1841, looked like a walking bone. After a mysterious illness in childhood, his body began wasting away until, as an adult, he weighed less than 50 pounds. Barnum quickly noticed his potential and billed him as the living skeleton in the 1860s. On stage, Sprague appeared in tailored suits that hung from him like empty cloth, performing beside fat ladies to amplify contrast. Behind the scenes, he was quiet, polite, and often self-conscious about his frail frame. Unlike many performers who leaned into shock value, Sprague remained humble, even uncomfortable with the gawking crowds. By the 1880s, his health had deteriorated further, and he passed away in Chicago in 1887. His body, once studied by physicians, became a lasting medical curiosity, a haunting reminder of how fragility itself could become entertainment. Number 7. Frank Lentini. Frank Lentini turned what could have been his burden into the highlight of his life. Born on May 18, 1889 in Rossellini, Sicily, he came into the world with a third leg and partial pelvis from a parasitic twin. As a child, his family immigrated to America, where curiosity about his condition quickly brought him into the circus world. Rather than hide, Lentini leaned into it, performing with humor, grace, and self-respect. Audiences loved his confidence. He joked freely about buying shoes in sets of 3 and even used his extra leg to kick footballs during acts. His personality set him apart from the exploitation often tied to sideshows. Married with children, he lived a grounded life, touring until the 1950s. Frank died on September 21, 1966, in Jacksonville, Florida, after decades of performing. Number 6. Katherine Divine. Katherine Divine became known in the early 1900s for a figure that seemed barely possible to sustain life. Thought to have been born around 1890 in Ohio, she was said to weigh less than 45 pounds as an adult. Her frail frame earned her the title the Skeleton Woman, performing in traveling carnivals alongside giants and strongmen for contrast. What made Katherine's act striking wasn't shock, it was control. She carried herself with poise, using movement and posture to turn her fragility into eerie elegance. Crowds were drawn not by fear, but by curiosity over how such a delicate woman could appear so composed. Reporters described her as strangely graceful, and even physicians struggled to explain her physical condition. She toured into her 40s before quietly retiring from the public eye. Her life faded from records afterward, leaving only fragments of posters and reviews from the days when her stillness commanded full attention. Number 5. Myrtle Corbin. Crowds had never seen anything like her. Born on May 12, 1868, in Lincoln County, Tennessee, Myrtle Corbin entered the world with a rare condition called diphagus, which gave her 2 pelvises and 4 legs. Her parents, stunned yet protective, soon realized that curiosity around her difference could provide a living. By the age of 13, she was performing in sideshows under the banner, The Four-Legged Girl from Texas, earning more than many adult men of the time. Doctors studied her extensively and confirmed that her smaller set of legs could move slightly, though not support her weight. What fascinated audiences most wasn't just her appearance. It was her charm and gentle humor. Despite her fame, Myrtle married a physician named James Clinton Bicknell and had 5 healthy children. She eventually retired to family life, proving she was more than an exhibit. When she passed away in 1928 in Cleburne, Texas, her life stood as one of the strangest yet most grounded chapters in circus history. Number 4. Annie Jones. Annie Jones didn't need tricks or exaggeration to amaze an audience. Her presence alone did it. She was born on July 14, 1865, in Marion, Virginia, and by just 9 months old, she had already joined P.T. Barnum's American Museum. Covered in soft facial hair that thickened as she grew, Annie became known as the infant Esau, later evolving into the bearded lady. Unlike the ridicule others faced, she carried herself with elegance and intelligence, often wearing fine gowns and speaking to crowds herself rather than relying on barkers. Her deep Southern accent and calm wit won people over wherever she toured. Beyond the stage, she advocated for fair treatment of performers who were labeled freaks, earning quiet respect within the community. Annie's success lasted through decades of changing tastes in entertainment. She died in Brooklyn, New York on October 22, 1902, remembered not for her beard, but for the grace that always stayed one step ahead of the spotlight. Number 3. Horace Riddler, the Great Omi. Horace Riddler wasn't born to stand out, but he made sure he would never blend in again. A former British Army officer from Surrey, he reinvented himself in the 1920s after leaving military service. By covering his entire body, face included, with black and white zebra-like stripes, he transformed into the Great Omi, one of the most recognizable sideshow figures of his era. Born in 1892, Riddler turned the art of tattooing into a performance, combining it with eccentric clothing, dramatic storytelling, and mysterious showmanship. His wife, Gladys, performed alongside him as the Zebra Woman, creating a bizarre double act that stunned audiences across Europe and America. Unlike many sideshow performers, Riddler's transformation was self-made, not biological, which made it both fascinating and unsettling. Audiences couldn't decide whether to admire his dedication or recoil from it. He continued performing into the 1950s, keeping his secretive persona alive until his death in 1969, leaving behind an image that still stands as one of sideshow culture's most unforgettable spectacles. Number 2. Alice Doherty. From head to toe, Alice Elizabeth Doherty looked as if she'd been spun from silk thread. Born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, on March 14, 1887, she was covered with soft, wool-like blonde hair due to hypertrichosis lanuginosa, a condition so rare that no one else in her family shared it. By age 2, she was already performing in small traveling shows across the Midwest, advertised as the Minnesota Woolly Girl. Unlike the wilder portrayals of others, Alice's act centered on her gentleness and childlike charm. Her mother managed her career, keeping her away from the rougher world of carnival life. As she grew older, the fame faded, and by her 20s, she quietly retired from performing, choosing to live privately in Dallas, Texas. She passed away on June 13, 1933, at just 46. While her life was short, Alice stood out in her time not for shock value, but for her quiet human presence behind the velvet curtain. Number 1. Tessa, the half-woman. Tessa built her fame not on sympathy, but on sheer skill. Born without legs sometime in the late 1880s, she refused to live hidden or pitied. Instead, she transformed her body into an instrument of balance and strength. Performing in early 20th century sideshows across America, she amazed audiences by climbing ropes, flipping through hoops, and even balancing chairs with her arms alone. Spectators came expecting shock and left stunned by precision. Unlike many billed for deformity, Tessa marketed herself as an athlete, not a curiosity. Her costume, sequined, bright, and always confident, became her trademark. Newspapers called her the half-woman acrobat, celebrating her daring stage work and controlled movements. She toured for decades before vanishing quietly from publicity in the 1950s. No records detail her death, but every review that survives points to the same thing. In a world built on spectacle, Tessa's act relied purely on talent. That wraps up our look at the real freak show performers who shocked the world. Each of them turned the impossible into something unforgettable. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves strange history as much as you do. Thanks for watching. More unbelievable stories are coming your way soon.